And we will start from where we left off yesterday. Yesterday we stopped at RDS, Relational Database Service, and that is where we'll pick it up from. And I'm still adhering to Mumbai region. So whatever region that you're adhering to, make sure that you continue there. So let me pull up my Excel sheet. Right. So I'll first start from security group here, right? I'm just writing the flow here so that you understand the steps. So we'll start with security group. From security group is what we're going to start. This is point number 1. So we're going to build a security group that will allow the connection between my EC2 and my database. To make sure that my database can communicate to both the EC2 instances, this will happen over a security group. So I have to create a common security group, and in this security group, I will be opening SSH port. I will be opening the MySQL port and HTTP and HTTPS. I think these are the 4 ports that are required for us to open. So let's go and create this first. Services EC2. I'm just switching back to EC2 to go and create a security group there. What's wrong with my internet here? Okay. Security group. I have a lot of junk here. Let me just clean this off quickly. Actions, delete security group. Right. So I'm going to create a new security group here, and I'm going to call this EC2 RDS connection. This represents a connection security group that I'm creating. And as we have discussed here, we will be opening all this 4 ports here to communicate. So 2 are for Linux and 3 are for the Linux instance and 1 is for database. So SSH is 1, HTTP, HTTPS, and then we have MySQL. Right. So all I have to do is copy this and make sure you paste it here. If it is not available, and that's it, you click on create. So my security group is created now, and we are good. We can go ahead and start with our database. Services RDS. What about the auto scaling consideration in EC2 calculator? You cannot calculate that in EC2, buddy. You have to run a formula in Excel sheet. You need to run the formula in Excel sheet. If you go to the calculator here, nope, there's no field that they have included where you can do the calculation. You just have to multiply. Take this server price, whatever the server that you have, this particular server, into 5, 10, 15, 20, and number of hours. Right, we will discuss that in your billing class on how to calculate this, but mostly it is a multiplier with number of hours. This is for a whole month. This is for 744 hours. You just have to consider auto scaling for 5, 6, or 10 hours into multiple instances. That is quite negligible. So click on create a database, and in today's lecture we'll be selecting MySQL. Next, MySQL production. Next. Nothing fancy. I've explained you this yesterday. I'll quickly run through. I will be using micro database here, and multi A to Z is important. If I go back to the diagram, if I say yes, it will create master and slave together. This master and the slave will be created together. If I say no, like in Saddam's sheet, if you see in Saddam's sheet, he is only considered one master database and he is not considered slave there, though he's considered read replica, but he's not considered slave there. So if you say no, it will only take one database here. So you want master and slave, hence we will click on yes. Provision IOPS general purpose, 20 GB is fine. Production DB, root. Next. Okay, so here is where we'll be selecting the security group that we discussed. So the group that we have created here is where we'll be presenting to our database. Choose an existing group, remove default, and from the dropdown, I'll be selecting EC2 RDX connection. Database name is master DB. And enable deletion protection. Uncheck this. Right. So basically what it does is it will avoid from accidental deletion. That's all it will do. Click on create database. Right. So database is getting created right now. And if I click on view database instances, this will take about 20 minutes and it's a DB2 micro. So about 20 minutes is what it's going to take. And if you see, it's giving the holistic view what exactly it is. The created security group is selected here. Your database name is master DB. Your username is root here. What else? Multi A to Z. If it says yes, that means you have master and slave, right? And your password is here in case if you want to modify later. That's it, right? So it takes about 20 minutes to create. So we will park this here. We will leave the database alone and we will come back once the database is ready. It still says creating, right? There's no point wasting here. So services and EC2. So now I've created my security group, and then the next step what I have done is I've created RDS, MySQL, DB with multi-AZ. So these things is the second step. The third thing is go and create EC2 instance. And I'm just creating this line item so that you guys can remember the steps that we are following. And this has to be in this order only. Right. So next is EC2 instance. And if I go back to my diagram, right, in one shot, I have created master and slave, and all the connection, replication, everything will happen in the background automatically. After 20 minutes, we will review that. Now, we are going to create the EC2 instances here that you see. Launch instance. I'm going to pick up a LAMP stack here, community AMI, and look for a LAMP. I know that LAMP stack comes with a database, but as we have discussed in the yesterday's diagram, we will not be using the database that is there inside the stack. We're going to remove it or delete it or disable it. Right. So for this, we will be selecting this machine here. Select T2 micro and configure instance detail. Now, the magic would happen in the databases. Since database is automatic, it will automatically select availability zone 1 and 2. We don't have to do anything. If you say multi A to Z, yes, it will only create master, it will only create slave. It will only see, okay, in which data center master has to be there, in which data center the slave has to be there. So it will decide its own availability zone and it will ensure that it is not created in the same availability zone. But unlike like RDS in EC2, you have to specifically tell where you want this instance to be created. This will not happen automatically. You have to manually choreograph your solution here, right? So what I'm going to do is, as part of the diagram here, I will be creating my machine, the first machine in my first availability zone. This first machine will be created in the first availability zone, and later I will create a machine in the second availability zone. So now to do that, I have to explicitly mention where I want. This will not happen automatically. If I leave this no preferences, there may be a possibility that it will create machine in the same availability zone. And you don't want that to happen. You want to explicitly mention this here. So I will say, please make this in first availability zone. Add storage. 10 GB is fine. I'm going to call this app server 1. And then remember, right? I have to select the same security group so that it can communicate with my database. So I will say choose an existing security group, and I have the security group. EC2 RDS connection that I have created is what I will be using to communicate between my database and my EC2 instance. Launch.
సరేలే బాగుంది. ఆనందంగా తినేసి వస్తా, అప్పుడే ఫోన్ చేస్తాం మళ్ళా. బాయ్.
Shivas, show some respect and courtesy to the class here. Shiva. Okay. Putti. And a simple process I've showed you in previous lectures also on how do you log into the machine. So I'm just logging in with the same approach here, selecting my converted key and appearance change, bold, and open. Right? It's a Bitnami instance, hence it is Bitnami. Sorry, typo. Restart session. BITNAMI. That's it. Comes with absolute no warranty to extend permission application to law. Fine, understood. Sudo su. I'm elevating myself as an administrator, and then I'm going to clear the screen. Now, like usual with the previous projects, if I run this on the internet, you will see some dummy page here. Right? Nothing here. If I say access my application, there's nothing here, no application installed. So we have to start from clean slate here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the directory OPT Bitnami Apache 2 and htdocs. So one student was asking, why are we going to htdocs? Excuse me. It's like your program files. This is like your program files, right? Anytime you install a software on your laptop, it goes to C drive program files, and all your softwares are installed on the program files, right? So likewise, when you're publishing a website, there's a designated directory that you have to navigate through, and all your applications will sit there. Hence, this is the directory. So this is the program files for your web application. So if I do ls, I still have some dummy pages here. Let me get rid of this. rm-rf. Everything. Now, if I go back and refresh here, it is a clean slate. right? So I think in the demo, I was talking to one of the student and he was asking, can we build an e-commerce platform? Can we build our own Flipkart, right? Or can we build our own Snapdeal, right? Myntra.com, right? So I asked him, why is it that he wants to do? He said that his parents are into some sari printing business, and they do a lot of retailing and wholesaling, which is offline. And he wanted to build a project on the website on Amazon so that he can publish and sell, right? I don't remember his name. I don't know whether he joined this training or not, right? So it clicked my mind. So I want to build an e-commerce platform, and then we will use that, right? So you guys are familiar what is e-commerce, right? Do you know what is the e-commerce or online store? Okay, very well. So only one person knows what is e-commerce. How about others? Guys, e-commerce is like this, guys. If I go to flipkart.com, this is e-commerce. You have various products categories here, right? So this is an e-commerce platform where you can publish and buy a product and you can check out. So in this training, this is what we're going to build. We're going to build a small case e-commerce company in this lab. Are you guys are with me? Are you guys are excited? Or you guys don't care? Okay. I see far fewer excitement here. So let's continue then. I need a software to build. So let me say open source e-commerce. Okay. Let's do this. I've done this before, so I have an experience of working with OpenCart. So let's use this OpenCart as a project, right? Free download. Download again. Copy link address and wget and the URL. Hit enter. So if I do ls, I have a file and it's in a zip file format. So let me unzip this. Unzip and the file name, hit enter. If I do ls now, okay, so there's an upload folder that they have created. I have to get into my upload folder. If I do ls, I have all my files. I will move my files from this directory, the directory that I have here. All the upload contents will be moved from this directory to this directory. That is what I'm trying to attempt. So move what? Move everything. Move where? A directory behind. Now let me go 2 directories behind and then change mode, read, write, rewrite, and then the directory. So all the necessary permissions done. I have downloaded the file, I've moved the files to right directory, gave all the relevant permissions that it needs, right? We are in a good shape. Let's go and explore now. Close this, refresh this. All right. So the installation is started now. Continue. And continue again. It says warning, admin/config page does not exist. You need to rename this file to this file. Okay, so basically it is asking me to rename a certain file. So let me do that. htdocs administrator ls. Okay, so unfortunately there's no rename command in Linux. So we'll be using a move command to rename the file. Rename this file to okay, so move config .php. Okay. Okay, it's asking me to do it in this directory. Okay, home directory. Continue. That's it, right? Now it has taken me to the installation. Now what I'm attempting to do is, if you go back to the diagram here, the instance is asking for, the application is asking for the database information, right? So I have to connect this particular instance to this database. You see this arrow here, right? That is what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to facilitate or cater the database information to my instance here. That is what I'm trying to do. This instance information I'm providing here, right? So let me go and do that now. Database. It is available. Okay, nice. Okay, let's dive in then. So it is asking for the database endpoint. I'll copy this endpoint here. Copy, go back to application, and this will not be a localhost because we're not using the database that is inside the instance, though LAMP comes with the database already, right? The instance that we have selected has MySQL, a copy of MySQL already in the machine, but we don't want to use that. But application is detecting that there's a database and it thinks that you want to connect that locally. So we're going to tell, hey, application, don't use the database that is there locally. Use my RDS, right? And what else I need from this page? Okay, username I need root and database name is MasterDB. Go back here, username is root already there. Database name is MasterDB. And password, I have set this password while creating my database. Okay, everything looks nice. Admin, and I will furnish my email ID. That's it. Okay, so this is a very crucial part. If you don't give this and if you give localhost as part of the diagram, the connection will not happen. The connection to this EC2 instance to this database will not happen. So this step is very crucial where you need to furnish the database endpoint, right? So where did you get the database endpoint? In the database itself. Endpoint is right here. And this is like a load balancer, right? RDS has created a load balancer, and this will not change in your application, even in an event where your master and slave fails. If you point your application via an IP and if your database fails, there may be a probability that you have to change an IP. and you don't want to do that, and endpoints simplifies that, right? So irrespective, hundreds of machines that are changing in the background, whether the traffic is going to read replica, whether the traffic is going to master, whether the traffic is going to slave, doesn't matter, right? Your application has to only know that this is the endpoint that it has to use to communicate. So continue. All right, so I'll say go to online store, and there you go, boys. A dummy store is ready, right? For example, you want to buy this phone, and let's say I want to buy 2 of this, and then I'll say add to cart, checkout, guest, continue, and I can feed in my personal information, my credit card details, all that I can do from here, right? Now let's say I want to change a logo, or I want to change a backend. All I have to do is remove everything from the end, type admin, username and password I've set as admin here, right? Where do you change your logo here? Settings, your store, something like this. Save. Did not change here. So let's try that one more time. Image. Okay, logo is right here. Yes. Delete and then save. You have successfully modified. Mm, um, Copy image address. Okay, so this seems to be working. Let me try with this. Edit. Images. Modify. Refresh. Upload. Okay, save. Okay, let's try. There you go, something like this, right? So you can change everything that you want. For example, if you go to categories and if you go to products, you can change all the products that are updated here. All the products can be changed, right? You can actually manage the store from the backend. You can integrate this with the payment gateway, and you can take money and you can ship them products. right? So I will leave the product up to you to explore and play with it, right? So what I have done so far is I've created the store successfully. My store is ready right now. Now what I want to do is, as part of the diagram, I have to go and create my second store, right? But instead, creating a second store is a painstaking process. Hence, what I will do is I'll take the image of this machine and I will deploy it on my second availability zone. So that is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go back here and I'll go to EC2. And go to actions, image, create an image, and shopping cart, date is 24 November 2018. No reboot is required, and that's it. Create image. So if I go to AMI, you will see a shopping cart image is getting created, and this was the other image that I created in the WordPress class. Let me get rid of this. Deregister. Give me a couple of minutes. This machine will be ready by then. If you have any questions, I will take them now. Okay, you like the project. Hey, Mahesh, can you message in the group? I see that some of the people have dropped already. Where did Saddam go? Saddam has disappeared. Okay, can you message in the WhatsApp and ask the others to join? Right, Megha is also missing. Ask Megha to join. Just drop the message in the group quickly, Mahesh. So this is available right now. If you see the status says it is available. Now I want to launch this machine. So click on launch. Again, T2 micro. So this time what I'm doing differently is I'm telling, hey, launch this machine in the second availability zone. Why this is important? If I go back to my diagram, as part of the diagram, the second machine has to sit in second availability zone. Hence, I have to explicitly mention in EC2 that go and get settled down in the second availability zone or second data center. 10 GB is fine. I'm going to call this app server 2. Existing security group I'm going to work with. And then launch. Now, if you see here, my first machine is in my first availability zone. Therefore, it says 1A. And my second machine is in my second availability zone. Therefore, it says 1B. We'll give it about few seconds here for the machine to come up. And then we'll try to run the IP address and see whether the website is working.
Can I ask one question?
Sure, go ahead.
Who is going to configure the payment gateway in the e-commerce site? So the developer? Okay.
You and I.
Okay, but can you explain a little bit some, because I don't have any experience on that.
It is pretty simple, right? You have to go to some company such as, let's say, PayU.
Yeah.
Right. Go to payu.in. Right. You give your application here. Right, and they'll set up a payment gateway. They'll ask you, okay, what is your bank account? Do you have company registered? What is your company PAN card, etc., etc. Details that they will ask.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So once you furnish the details, they will give you a connector or they'll give you a plugin.
Okay.
That plugin I just have to install in the OpenCart website. right?
Oh,
And
okay.
they will give you tutorials and everything. It's pretty simple. It's just putting one page of code and that's it. It'll system will automatically detect,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So once you have that payment gateway integrated, any shopping happens, it'll go to PayU website. If you have not registered merchant, then the system will not work. And second thing is, once they collect the payment, they'll dump into your account. Whatever the transaction fee that they are doing, they will charge you. Like this, there are hundreds of companies.
Okay.
There's one called Razorpay, CC Avenue. Paytm is one that you can integrate with,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to first set up a merchant account with these guys,
Okay. And
right?
then
And you
they'll
just
give a link. Yeah.
plug in. They'll just give you a
Okay.
plugin. You put it into your OpenCut
Open
software, and
cards.
that's it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me check whether my second server is still initializing. Um, okay, so my second server is also working right now. So my clone was able to succeed. Right now, two things I have done now. If I go back here, both of my servers are created. Now the third thing is I have to create load balancer and I have to create Route 53. Right. So some of you have already bought a domain name. Great. All right. Most of you have not bought it. If you have not bought the domain name, most likely you cannot do the lab, right? So let's go to Route 53 first. For some reason, my internet is slow. Never mind. So under Route 53, if you see the section here, the third section says domain registration. And if I go to domain registration, right? So whatever domains that you bought, right? If I go back and check, right? We have saddamdesign.site. We have AWS DevOps Architect.online, right? A couple of domain names that we have, right? But usually the domain names that you have bought it for 100 rupees. But in case of an AWS, the domains are very expensive. For example, if I want to search for .online, I have to pay $39 just for 1 year. The same online domain that you bought for 100 rupees. Likewise, if the site extension is not available here, I guess, right? But I have a couple of extensions that are available, right? So you can buy extensions such as .ceo. .ceo you can buy. You have one extension called what the fuck, right? What the fuck is one extension that is available. I always remember there was a student. He was a male student, and the name of the student was Jyoti, right? I asked him to buy a domain name. He bought a domain name Jyoti dot what the fuck, right? And I was like, hey bro, why did you buy this? Who does something like this with their own name? And he told me that, sir, I don't like my name. I said, what happened? Jyoti is such a nice name, and Jyoti means light, way, path, right? It's bright. So Jyoti is a very nice name. And then he told me, sir, this happens to be a female's name. Jyoti is a very common female's name, not a male's name. That is why I don't like it, right? So this is one incident that happened with the what the fuck extension that I thought I would share with you, right? So there are a lot of extensions that are available that you can take. You have ABC, I guess. ABC is not available. Uh, Sexy you have, Sex you have, HIV you have. So there are various extensions that are available that you can buy from, but it's all very pricey. I just wanted to show you that you can buy it from here. But even an online extension is $39, so you can do the math, right? You have hardly got the domain name for $1.50, and $39 is a lot of money. So you can still buy domain names from here, right? Something like this. And if you click on search, you have various extensions available with different prices. You have .ninja, .net, .me, .info, .com, .net, right? So you can also buy domain names from here. But the only reason why I ask you to buy it from outside, because I don't want really for you to spend a lot of money and waste your money, because BigRock is the most cheapest thing that you could actually buy. There's nothing cheaper than 200 rupees is what I feel, right? But the systems are available here. If you're working in an organization or if you're working in your company, remember your company's AWS account, you'll be using it. You will be using your company's AWS account, right? And because you're using your AWS account from your company, you have to buy domain names here. Even if it is $1 million, you buy it from here only. Don't go and say, sir, I saw BigRock, there is 100 rupees and you need to buy from there. There's no need of advocating that, right? You will buy from AWS, it goes to the fulfillment and PO and all, and things will happen internally. You don't have to buy a domain name from outside. It doesn't matter. 10, 20, $30 doesn't matter to your company. But since you're doing lab, we are frugal here. But names are available that you can also buy from here, right? So if I go back to my Excel sheet, right? Now remember, this is an additional step that we are doing. Usually we don't do this step because we bought domain name from somebody else. We have to do this step, right? So I'm going to say route. This is my route 53, right? Which happens to be an AWS service. And let's say this is BigRock. Right? Now the question is, because you bought domain from somebody else, how does AWS know? How does AWS know where to point your domain name, right? Your AWS does not know. So what we need to do is we need to create a record set. Right? So what you will do is you will create a record set here telling that, hey, I have this domain name. I have this domain name and I want to point it. So you can say something like this, www, or you can say citibank.com, and you can hit enter. Now you need to understand Route 53 is dumb. If you put citibank.com, it will think that you own citibank.com. It will register, right? So if you say google.com, it thinks that you own google.com, it will register. There's no validation this is doing. It cannot do any validation to check whether you own or not, right? Now, to validate whether you actually own this domain or not, right? What you need to do is you need to go and update the record set. Every time you create a Route 53 entry, it will create a name server. Right, this will create a name server here. Right, now this name server is required to be updated here so that your domain can validate and say, hey, anybody's accessing citibank.com or anybody's accessing google.com, I will send it to AWS. So this is where a record forwarding or a name server addition will happen. Now, because you have bought this domain name from BigRock thinks that you will use their services to host. And BigRock thinks that, yeah, you are buying services from me, so you will buy storages from me, you will buy email from me, you will buy all other stuff from me. That is what BigRock is thinking, right? But we have only bought a domain name from BigRock, and we want to use this domain name with our services. So that is what we're trying to do right now, right? But remember, if you take Citibank here and if you don't find Citibank here, it doesn't work that way. So whatever you have taken here in BigRock is what you need to put here. So for example, right, if I go back to hosted zone and if I click on create a hosted zone, Hi bro, I am in work. I can't attend. I will follow up the recording video. Okay. So for example, Saddam site that I have here. So I'll copy this. I will paste it here. Right. There's no need of putting www, right? And it has to be a public hosting, and I need to click on create. I will not create this right now because I don't want to take Saddam's domain. So Saddam wants to do this labs. I will not do it. But usually I will put my name here. I'll click on create. And this is the exact same name that Saddam has purchased from BigRock. So once you click on create, right, an unexpected error has happened. Okay. So if you see right now, it has created 4 name servers. You will copy this, right? And then you will paste it here. Now, right now I have just told AWS, hey, I own this domain, give me a record name. Now it has created 4 record name. All I have to do is take this all 4 record name, and log into BigRock control panel and update it there. By updating there, anybody who's accessing Saddam.site here, saddamdesign.site, right? Anybody's accessing Saddam's design.site, it will transfer the traffic to AWS now. So this is the step that we have to do, right? So I do not have domain name in BigRock, but I have a domain name in GoDaddy. And the reason why I have is I did not knew something like BigRock exist. I always used to own and operate, and I used to do my labs on my GoDaddy account. And one of my students said, hey, there's one better option than GoDaddy. So since then, I started recommending students to take up cheaper domain names from BigRock. I log into GoDaddy. And let me sign in. I think I've already signed in. Just pick me up like that. So we'll go to domain management, manage domains. And by the way, those of you who do not know where I am in UAE. So therefore it is showing the UAE version of GoDaddy. Okay, so I have 2 domain names and I'll be using this one here. Right, so this domain name is already here. So if I scroll down here, there's an option called manage DNS. So click on manage DNS. Right, in my previous lecture, I have already pointed it. So all I have to do is, if you do not see this, or if you see anything else, you just have to click on change and then you can delete it off. You can remove this entries, whatever entries you have, right? Existing entries you have to remove them off. Once you remove it, you have to go back and copy this new entries. And this you have to do every time when you delete your Route 53 and recreate it. So after pointing this, you click on save. And as soon as you click on save, all the entries are saved here. So that means if going forward, anybody accesses this domain name, adnan.team domain, it will go to AWS. So GoDaddy now knows that anybody accessing this domain name, I have to send them to AWS. So this is the step number 1. Right, so you have created Route 53 and you have created the entries. The next thing is we have to go and we have to request SSL certificate. right? Because we want our website to be secured. For example, if I go to flipkart.com, there's a lock here. If I click on this lock and if I say validate, it'll say GoDaddy certificate, and this will expire on this day. So that means the whole page is secured. So people can confidently give their card information on this page, not having two thought process of losing it. So if you see, there's a lock here. If you go to my website, it clearly says on the Chrome that this is not a secure site. So customer will run away, right? Because it is not secure. So the next step is going and requesting certificates, right? So to request certificate, you go to services, and there's an option called certificate manager, and that is right here, certificate manager. Now certificates are also available with GoDaddy. Right, they're available here also, and then you have to pay nearly 2,000 rupees for one website. If you have multiple websites, you'll pay 8,000. If you have subdomains, you will pay 20,000 per year. You getting my point? So you eventually have to pay if you buy domain names, or sorry, if you buy SSL from a third-party vendor. So likewise, if I go and check for SSL from BigRock, so BigRock is also pretty much asking for a lot of money here, right? So, but the best part about AWS is the certificates are free in AWS. All you have to do is click on request certificate, click on request certificate here. And the first thing what you need to do is you need to put the star dot. This is very important. This will allow you to create subdomains. For example, you can create mail.ibm.com, career.ibm.com, remote.ibm.com, right? So mail.ibm.com, something like that. So in our case, we have star dot. That means anything that we want to create further can be created with one single certificate, right? And I need the domain name. Copy this domain. So star dot, and then you put the domain name. There's no need of putting www here. If you want to add multiple names, you can add here. You click on next. It says DNS validation. This will go to Route 53, right? This will go here. It will go and talk to Route 53 and say, okay, all these records are created, check. All these records are updated, check, right? That is what it's going to do with DNS validation. Review. And then you click on confirm and request. So if I do it, then Saddam will not get it. But all you have to do is confirm and request. So once you confirm and request, typically it takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and it will say issued here, right? If it does not say issued, and if you're still seeing pending request here, all you have to do is come down here and click this option, create a record in Route 53. So what this will do is it will go and create a record here. Right, so it will automatically create a record here. In case if it does not get validated, you just have to click this button. Remember, if only when it says pending here, only when it says pending for some time, 5-10 minutes, and if you don't get issued, just simply come down here and click on create a record. I have pre-created it just in an interest of saving time. Otherwise I have to wait 10 minutes and 10 minutes and 10 minutes, and do not want to make this class lengthy, right? But make sure you click on this button here and then wait for another 5-10 minutes, and you will see the issue logo here. Once this is issued, then you have your certificate. Are you guys are with me? Yes, 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 no, maybe. So once you have your certificate ready or requested, the next step is Elastic Load Balancer. Okay, very well, nice. So the next step is Elastic Load Balancer. and the load balancer is available right here. Let me come down, click on load balancer.
Where we need to configure that certificates just now we have created. Hello, Adnan.
I'm sorry, I accidentally went on mute. So I'll show it to you in a moment here. That is where we are heading into.
Where we going to configure that secure certificates.
I will show it to you right now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show it to you right now. It's taking so long. Why? What happened? Okay, so my load balancer is ready now. The screen is ready, not the load balancer. So I'm going to click on create a load balancer. And remember, we are using an application load balancer in today's lecture, right? We would like to load balance between these two applications here. Going back to the diagram. Right, we're going to create this load balancer that will establish a connection between these two instances. That is what we're trying to do. Click on create, and I'm going to give name as shopping cart. And yes, it is internet facing, and I will add HTTP and HTTPS both. And since both of our machines are running on both the availability zones, I will select them both. Remember, I want secure and non-secure both. Hence, I am selecting HTTP and HTTPS. And here is where I will configure the certificate. Right, in AWS, I don't have to install the certificate in Linux machines, because when you do auto scaling, right, you want all your auto scaling instances to be secured, right? And you cannot keep installing the certificate once the machines are coming up. So if you install the certificate in the load balancer, right, then you don't have to install the certificate in the server itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose an option which says use a certificate that I have created just now. And if I go to the drop down, if you see the second certificate is available, star.adnan.team, which had pre-created it, it is showing up here. All I have to do is select this certificate here, configure. We'll be selecting the existing security group. And I'm going to call this between two instances. Between two instances here, and I want to route traffic to the instances, not to an IP. Why this step is important? When you configure an auto scaling, you have more instances coming in, right? If you have a different IPs, there will be a problem connecting it. But if you say instances, it's just going to use a local DNS or a private IP to communicate, right? And there's a heartbeat that will happen on port 80. Let me explain you the heartbeat in detail here. So there are 5 options available. For example, if you see healthy threshold, right? So that means I will call Mahesh. I'll dial his number and I'll call him. Say, right, I'll make a phone call to Mahesh. So Mahesh is required to pick my call in less than 5 seconds. Within 5 rings or 5 seconds, Mahesh is supposed to pick my call and talk to me, right? I'll say, hi Mahesh, hi buddy, how are you? And he will reply me, I'm fine, thank you. And we'll have a conversation. That is one heartbeat. And then we will cut the call. I will drop the call, and then I'll wait for 30 seconds. Then I'll dial back phone to Mahesh again, and he's still obliged to answer my phone in less than 5 rings or 5 seconds. that you see here, right? And then I'll say hi, hello. He will tell me hi, hello. Then I will disconnect the call. I'll wait for another 30 seconds. I'll call him back again. So like this, I will call 5 times Mahesh, and I'm requiring him to answer my call within 5 seconds and reply back to me. This is called successful heartbeat or successful connection between your load balancer and EC2 instances. Right? Let's understand scenario number 2. I dial a call, I make a call, I call Mahesh. So Mahesh answers my phone, but after 5 seconds. Right? He answers my phone, but he does it after 5 seconds. So usually if you have experienced it, when you're typing something on the computer, you type first and the typing or the letters will appear later on your screen. Happened a lot of time. So what does this mean? This means that your computer is doing something, busy doing something, and therefore the letters are appearing late here, right? So that is the scenario that I'm going to use here, where a computer is already busy catering customers that cannot handle more traffic. There will be a delay or there will be an experience impact. So if Mahesh is taking more than 5 seconds to answer my phone, I think he's super busy. I will stop the traffic to him for some time, right? And this will happen twice. First time I will call him, he's replying me back after 5 seconds. Okay, next time I will call him after 30 seconds. If he's taking another 5 seconds or more than 5 seconds to reply, then I will not send him traffic, right? Or in an event where he does not even reply to me after 5 seconds, that means the instance is down. Clear? So this is how an heartbeat would work. So right now I have two instances, right? One is running on availability zone B, one is running on A. I will add those machines inside my load balancer. I have added them right here. Review. And then finally I will create. My load balancer is getting created right now, right? So I have already given the SSL certificate in my load balancer, but my application does not know to read that certificate. So I'm going to go and configure my application so that my application can read the certificate. Now to configure my application, I will say vi, open my config.php file, right? I will hit I to edit, and then I will change this IP address quickly here. And I'll make this HTTPS because it clearly says HTTPS here and HTTP here. So by this way, my application server knows that there's a certificate somewhere. It'll try to force itself to run the certificate or within the certificate. I will write and quit. The similar thing I have to do with one more file, vi admin. So this file is under admin. Okay. This is for the backend, guys. You want your backend to be secured. Hence, you will do this here. This will be HTTPS. Okay. So you asked me, right? This is how you configure the certificate in the web application, and you will do right quit. Okay, right. So I have to do the same thing in the second server also. So let me go back to instances. And I have to log into my second server copy. This has to be done in both the machines. Okay. So let me show you here. Okay, looks correct. And one is under admin folder. Is there an easy way to replace, guys? Is there any find and replace command in Linux that you know of? Yes, 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 no, maybe. Okay, this will be yes. That's it. So whatever domain name that you have bought, make sure that you add www and your domain name and you update it. So I've updated this on both the machines now. So the last thing that I need to do is go back to my Route 53. So if I go back and refer, I have installed the certificate in my load balancer. I've configured my applications to use that certificate that is there in the load balancer. The last thing is I have to configure this Route 53 to my load balancer because this Route 53 is already talking to my domain. I have to connect this to my load balancer. If I go back to my Excel sheet, this is my load balancer, Elastic Load Balancer, right? So I have to point my Elastic Load Balancer, right? Both the instances. This is my ELB, and I have instance 1, instance, right? Now this will be pointed to this. So what is happening is if somebody is going to Big Rock and looking for saddamdesign.site, this domain will route to Route 53. The Route 53 will route to load balancer. This load balancer will now route to first server or second server respectively. And this first and second server will talk to your database respectively. So that is how the sequence is. Go back to services in Route 53. Hosted zone. And if you see a pre-pointed the domain name already here, again, remember, right? When you point this domain name, from Big Rock to AWS Route 53, this can take up to 1 day. It can take 1 minute or it can take 1 day. Don't start deleting and recreating it again. Once you point it, you have to wait. Sometimes it takes 1 minute, sometimes it takes 1 whole day for the connection to happen between AWS and Big Rock. It's a very common process. We call this propagation. So don't hurry up. So that is why I've recreated it. Right? So the last thing that you need to do is let me delete this entry, and you can ignore all other entries that you see for now. Right? So in subsequent classes, I will teach you what are the other entries are. So all you have to do is click on create a record, type www and click on alias, and you have to search for a load balancer. And if you see a shopping cart load balancer is showing up here, you select this and you click on create. So now if you see here, the connection is done. www.adnan.team is connected to the load balancer here. Now let's test. Let me close this. Now I want you to click on this link and tell me whether it is working. Go to this link and tell me whether the website is working. If you see here, for me it is working, and if you see there's a lock also that you have, and if I click on validate, it is issued by Amazon. And if you see, my expiry date is also here 17/4/2019, and this is issued by Amazon. And if I go to securities, certificate path, all these details, it will show up here, and it is 2048-bit encrypted. 2048-bit encrypted. So now if somebody wants to publish or give card information, they can use this, and now it is secured. And now if you keep refreshing, you do not know whether it is going to your server 1 or it is going to your server 2, because in the background the switch will happen, but for the end user he will never get to know which server he is connected to. Is it working for you guys? Okay, it is working. Gokul said yes. For everyone it is working. Nice. And you see this lock also, right? Right. So now going back to the diagram here, right? This is called minimum viable, where I have created two databases. I've created two instances. One load balancer is created, and then when Route 53 is created, I have pointed to the domain. Now, if you want to make it sophisticated, for example, right, in case of Mahesh's diagram here, he's depicting read replica. There's one read replica created here, and there's one more that is created here. So let me show you how to create read replicas. Right. So go to services in RDS back. Go to your database. Right. You have to select your database here. Open this. Select. And you see an option which says create read replica. Just click on create read replica. It is asking where do you want to create this replica. Would you like to have this replica within the same availability zone, or you want to have this somewhere else, right? I already have in Mumbai. Let's say I want to put one copy in Singapore and other copy in Europe. So you can say Singapore here. You want this to be micro, right? And that's it. You go ahead and click on replica, right? About 20 minutes it'll take, it'll deploy one in Singapore. So if you want one more to be somewhere else, you can deploy this somewhere else. But in his diagram, he have depicted Mumbai only, right? But he wants to put this in different availability zone. So all you have to do is select Mumbai. And it's asking preferences. You have to put, again, when you're creating replicas, you have to explicitly mention on which availability zone that you would like to add them. So for example, if you want to add them first one in the one and second one in the second, just simply select this. And all the way down, come and you click on create. It is that simple. In 20 minutes, you will have this in one availability zone, and you go back and redo this again for the another availability zone, and this will create multiple read replicas for you as per your design, right? So likewise, let me show you for EC2 instances also, right? In his diagram is depicted that he wants 4 instances, but we have only done 2 machines, right? I just have to click on launch instance and go to my AMI, and if you see, my shopping cart is available here. I can go back and click on select, configure instance detail, and select where you want to add your additional instances. And you do next finish, and your instances will be launched. You're getting my point? So it is that simple on multiplying this. The only thing that I have not covered in today's lecture is auto scaling. So I want to teach you DevOps first so that you can understand auto scaling easily there, right? So with that said, I will conclude today's lecture. If you guys have any questions, you can shoot. Otherwise, I'll see you.
Adnan, please could you repeat on Route 53 the DNS records, because I'm just a little bit confused about the big rock mapping and the.
Yes. So what happens is when you buy a domain name, let's say you bought a domain name from Big Rock, right?
Yeah.
But your project is sitting on AWS.
Yeah.
Right. So how does AWS know which domain you bought? How does your domain provider knows where to point?
Yeah, we suppose that that record is supposed to be into the big rock, isn't it?
Exactly. So what I have done is I've went to Route 53 here.
Yeah.
And under Route 53, hosted zone, and I've created a hosted zone called Citibank, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And when you click on create, every time when you click on create, what it does is it will give you these 4 entries.
4 records. Yeah.
These 4 records it will give you, thinking that you own Citibank. All you have to do is copy these 4 records and go back and publish it in your Big Rock DNS services. Right? Like I did it in GoDaddy.
Mm-hmm.
Manage domain. So you have your domain, you just select your domain there. And manage DNS. And you remove the existing entry and you update it. You click on change, you remove it here, and whatever that you have got from your Route 53, these entries has to be pasted here and saved. That's all.
Okay.
So anybody accessing your domain name, it will try to resolve to the first name here. If it does not work, it will go to the second name. If it does not work, it goes to the third name, fourth name, but eventually all 4 names belongs to your Route 53. So it will go to your Route 53. And from there onwards, it will terminate the traffic to your load balancer.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Okay. So anybody else have any questions? All right then. So thank you for joining today's lecture. Please publish your website, publish your certificate, and send me the details. I would like to see a working website that is secure, right? And be very creative in terms of changing product, changing logo, integrating with payment gateway. Try to take this project to a next level. You guys are all future architects and entrepreneur. So I want you to bring your creativity to the project. So don't try to copy what I have exactly done. Try to evolve or try to improvise something that I have demonstrated today. So with that said, thank you very much for your time, guys. I will see you in your next class.
Tomorrow we have class? No.
I will update you in the morning.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Bye, guys.